So we will move on to endorsement. The first endorsement is for our statewide and second district court of appeals. So statewide is Governor Kasich, Lieutenant Governor Mary Taylor, Secretary of State John Husted, Attorney General Mike DeWine, State Treasurer Josh Mandel, State Auditor David Yost, Justice Sharon Kennedy, Justice Judith French. And Mr. Vaughn, if you could stand up for everybody. This is Robert Vaughn, ladies and gentlemen. He is running unopposed in the Republican primary to be the next Republican judge on the Greene County Court of Appeals. So is there a motion to endorse those unopposed slate? Motion by Mayor Nagel, seconded by Robert Wood. All those in favor, raise your piece of paper. All those opposed, motion carries. Next on the agenda, before I start, is the 10th Congressional District Representative to the United States Congress. The candidates are John Anderson and Congressman Michael Turner. But before we get into that, I want to lay a few ground rules out. Our vote counters for this evening, pursuant to the bylaws, are David Graham, Terry Mazur, and Sheriff Fisher. The bylaws do allow for candidates to have an observer of the counting of the vote. I know this isn't a congressional race, but I do know that Carla Cotter will be observing for Marlene Johnson, who is a candidate for State Central Committee.
Denny Crouch is going to verify for me.
Denny Crouch will be verifying for Bruce Hall. Anybody else that's running, seeing none, we'll move on from that. The way we will do this is each candidate has 4 minutes to make a presentation to the Central Committee. Jan Basham and Janice Gosford to the right of the podium will be keeping time. After the presentation, the candidates, and I will say this, that I've talked with Tanya Renneker, Congressman Turner's campaign manager. She will be giving a presentation for the congressman. She has informed me that when it comes to question time, she is not going to speak on behalf of the congressman, but respectfully, if you have any questions for the congressman, let her know later. She will write them down, or you can write them and give it to her, and she will pass that along to the congressman for a response. I know that this group is very professional and takes their duties seriously, so questions are only open to Central Committee members who have the vote. It is not open to any of our guests or purely executive committee members. And I would ask that any question be directed to the chair, myself, and that it be a question that all the candidates can answer, a question that pertains to the office that they seek. The chair will not recognize questions directed to one candidate, whether they're pro or con, but rather so you can receive information. That's why I'm asking that the questions be directed towards the office sought. With that, we will start with the 10th Congressional District, and I'd ask be sure, candidates, to look over to your right at the podium. Jan Basham and Janet Gump have signs to let you know when you have a minute left and when you're down 30 seconds. With that, I'd ask John Anderson, candidate for United States Representative representing the 10th Congressional District, which includes Montgomery, Clark, or strike that, Montgomery, Greene, and Fayette County. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you very much, sir. I'd like to thank the committee for inviting me this evening to speak to the members of the Republican Party here tonight. Let me say this. I am not a career politician. I am a career public servant. If you read your Holy Bible, it'll tell you that the most effective leader, the best leader, is the best servant. And if you elect me as your next congressman, I would be the best servant you ever had, ever elected to the Congress of the United States from the state of Ohio. I'm a long-time Air Force civilian manager and contractor. I've worked in acquisition and sustainment now for 37 years, serving the United States military. I started to manage the F-16 support equipment program when I was 26 years old, 1977. I graduated onto that, was a simulator program manager for the Air Force. I've been the B-1 support equipment division chief, C-17 support equipment division chief, leading those activations, making sure that those systems were supportable when they hit the field. I am an acquisition and sustainment expert. I know the government. I've managed billions of dollars of your tax money. I've actually had a massively important job. I'm sure that your tax money has been spent effectively for these weapon systems over all these years. Currently, I'm working in the acquisition environment at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. I'm working the Predator Reaper program. I'm working the depot activation, leading that depot activation planning for those killer drones that we're deploying all over the world in defense of our country and our nation's freedom. That's what I'm able to do in terms of my capabilities as a human being. That's what I offer you. Very few people have ever run for Congress with my skills, knowledge, and ability. What I can bring to the table for you. I am also running for Congress because this country is bankrupt. We have a national debt of $17.4 trillion. It grows every single day. It's out of control. We've got our entitlement programs that grow automatically without any vote by the Congress. Our current congressman has been in there now for over 12 years. He has voted 5 out of 7 instances to raise the national debt. That's unacceptable. He has also voted recently to cancel the sequester cuts that were made. The sequester was passed because the Congress failed and the President failed to cut the federal budget to get the national debt under control. So we have a current congressman that's non-operating in a fiscally responsible way. I, John Anderson, would never go along with voting for any bill that would raise the national debt or continue deficit spending, mortgaging the future of our country and our children. If you want to vote for the status quo, you're going to continue to get more debt. Within the next 10 to 12 years, another $10 or $11 trillion will be added to the national debt. Your children cannot ever pay back that national debt. It's impossible. The money isn't there. We have to make some radical cuts and radical reforms in our government and turn this around now before it's too late and the country's bankrupt. We will face a horrific hyperinflation coming soon, and we won't be able to survive it. Your families will be in trouble, and the entire economy will collapse if we don't get this debt under control. The Bible will tell you that he who is enslaved to debt is enslaved to the person who holds that debt over that person. So, I would also like to say to you that I have a 25-point contract with the voters of this district that I have sworn before God to uphold if you elect me as your next congressman. The 4 key points: I will support a balanced budget amendment, a term limits amendment to get rid of career politicians forever. That I would favor of a fair tax amendment to pass the consumption tax, replace all the other taxes. And finally, I will not profit $1 from being your congressman if you elect me in this year in the primary and in the general election. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. I'll leave that.
I have copies of my contract right here. Anyone can pick up 35 copies to see where I stand with every single position.
Thank you. Next, I'd ask Tanya Renneker, campaign manager for Congressman Mike Turner, to address the Central Committee.
Hi, I'm Tanya Renneker, and again, I'm here to speak on behalf of Congressman Turner. He has written a letter that he would like me to read to you. Thank you for your continued commitment and dedication to the Republican Party here in Greene County. I am grateful for all the hard work your organization has done to educate our electorate, register voters, and promote Republican ideas and causes. Since 2003, I have been proud to represent Southwest Ohio and work to protect and expand Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Throughout my time in office, I have consistently championed our conservative principles and fought tirelessly to pass legislation that reflects them. Currently, I serve as senior member of the House Armed Services Committee, where I advocate for the missions of Wright-Patterson. I voted against sequestration and fought to stop the furloughs that affected more than 10,000 employees at the base, which remains the largest single-site employer in the state of Ohio. I also serve as a senior member of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. I consistently fight to hold government accountable and eradicate government abuse on issues ranging from the IRS scandal, the Benghazi investigation, and the disastrous Obamacare rollout. Additionally, I have continued to lead the charge to fight for Delphi salaried retirees in Congress. The government picked winners and losers during a bailout, which has cost the taxpayers billions of dollars, and these retirees their future. I will continue this fight until all Delphi salaried retirees have their pensions restored. In 2012, I was honored to receive the endorsement of the Greene County Republican Party and would be equally honored to receive it again this year. Thank you again for all of your work that you do on behalf of the Republican Party here in Greene County. Thank you, Congressman Mike Turner.
We'll now open it up to questions from members of the Central Committee. Again, no questions directed to one person or another. I know that Tanya will take note of your questions. You can see her afterwards. But are there any questions? Mr. Mitchell.
Yeah, the young lady mentioned, the endorsement of this committee last time in 2012. I'd like to ask John if he's received any endorsements.
Yes, I have. I just received an endorsement from the Citizens for Community Values Action PAC today. Pleased to endorse me as the United States Congress 10th District representative in the 2014 primary election. This is a pro-family organization that supports candidates statewide with a strong stance to defend faith, family, and freedom, and believes the candidate, Mr. Anderson, holds a similar position on key issues and will promote the future success of Ohio.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson, and I will reiterate, because this went a little bit fast, rather than ask a specific candidate a question, ask it to both of them, and I believe Mr. Turner's office will provide you an answer on his endorsements. Anyone else? Seeing none, we will move on to State Central Committee. Again, the same format. I would ask, we will let the ladies go, and I will ask Marlene Johnson, who is running for State Central Committee of the 10th District, to come up. And while she is, I'd like to let you know that Ohio Republican Party State Central Committee is composed of 66 elected members, one male, one female, from each of Ohio's 33 state Senate districts. The members are elected to 2-year terms during the primary election on even years. Members of this committee meet quarterly to vote on important party business and enact the bylaws that direct how the state party handles it. Their elections, endorsements, rules, contracts, and other party business. The State Central Committee members also vote to nominate and elect officers of the state party. With that background on the State Central Committee, I'd ask Marlene Johnson.
Good evening, and thank you, Chairman Ternesio and Chairman Lewis. Anyway, and members. I'm Marlene Johnson, and I'm candidating for the State Central Committee woman in the May 6th primary. Most of you know me. I'm the one at the table over there, right over there, getting signatures on petitions and handing out information on bills and issues. And I know you, like me, because you're invested in family, in your home, your business, your farm, your church, and you're concerned about our country, about our neighborhoods, and you're upset, like I am, about what the government is doing, not for us, but to us. You probably received my bio and report on the last State Central Committee meeting, and Mr. Hall and I found that few people even know that the Central Committee exists. I'm so glad that Adolfo laid out their jobs and responsibilities for us, because we just really need to be aware of the power that they hold. And it's sad that people don't know, because they make these serious decisions that affect not only our party, but our lives. When they determine which state candidates are endorsed and can receive funding for the primary as well as the general elections, they really are directing the policy decisions of our state government. And they elect the chairman of the Central Committee, who then is also like the head of the GOP, the Ohio GOP, and he chooses and oversees the staff and the political operatives with whom we deal at the Victory Center. I brought several copies of our National Republican Party platform to share again tonight, and they're in those red folders at the back there on the table. You can use your search engine to locate it on the web. It's the 2012 Republican platform. I'm disheartened that our state party will not endorse the national platform, nor will they endorse any issues. If elected, my goal is that the endorsement of the national platform will be done, as well as issues which concern all of us. The National Republican Party has released a statement that Common Core is not such a good idea. Several county parties have endorsed the national position. Issues like these should be considered by the state party. There's copies of the national position on Common Core back there on the table. I am an activist, and I am issues-oriented and policy-driven. There's two things over the past years that I consider great personal achievements. One local and one statewide. There's no more estate tax in Ohio. No more death tax. Yes. By the Ohioans to end estate tax. For what I have been able to do in terms of collecting petitions and speaking before the General Assembly. Okay, they're not taking our farms and businesses anymore. In Greene County, after years of work in committee and with Adolfo Attornacio's help, we revised our rules and bylaws, and I'm convinced it is second to none in terms of transparency, clarity, and thoroughness. If you don't have your copy, again, there's copies back there on the table. I'm much into communication, and I brought you things you need, copies of the issues, copies of the candidates that will be on your ballot. I'm here to serve you and give you a voice at the state level. I have strong work ethic from growing up on a farm in Indiana, and I'll work hard for you if I'm elected as your state Central Committee woman. I want you to have a voice. Thank you for your time and for your vote.
Thank you, Margaret. Next candidate I'd like to call, since we're doing the women, is Brenda Lewis. Brenda?
I have to thank the chairman and the committee for allowing me to have the opportunity to address you this evening. My name is Brenda Lewis, and I am currently your Republican State Central Committee woman for the 10th Senate District. For the 10th Senate District, I'm asking for your continued support and endorsement for another term as the 10th District Republican woman. I am a lifelong Republican and a very active member of our party. I have worked hard for Republican candidates for more than 44 years. I have been the chairman of the Greene County Republican Central Committee since 2004 and have been actively involved in a number of campaigns on the federal, state, and local levels. In addition, I have been president of the Republican Women's Club. Also, I have served as Greene County Republican Party chairwoman twice. For the last 12 years, I have organized and staff the Greene County Republican headquarters and the Republican tent at the Greene County Fair. I have worked for the call centers for the Get Out the Vote campaign. Also, I've helped the candidates organize fundraisers, distribute literature and signs. My community involvement includes being a 4-H advisor for over 21 years, and I've been an active volunteer for Vacation Bible School at my church, Faith United Methodist Church, and that's a few of the community things I've done. As Republicans, we have an amazing opportunity to build, promote, and expand the party. We need state central committee members who will actively work for our elected officials and the party. As your representative, I have attended every meeting of the 10th District State Central Committee. And also, as your elected representative for the past 4 years, I have worked at Greene County Fairs, attended both women and men's club meetings in Greene, Madison, and Clark counties. I have represented you in all 3 counties at Lincoln Day dinners, summer picnics, and other events. There remains a lot of work to be done to ensure that we continue our success by helping elect strong, capable Republican candidates to office. I have a proven track record as your representative in Greene, Clark, and Madison counties. I understand the function and importance of the Republican State Central Committee. There is much work still to be done in future elections, and I want to continue the efforts to help the Republican Party in Ohio. There is no pay or reimbursement for any expenses incurred as your representative, and I am glad to donate my time to help the party. Since my retirement as a teacher for the Beaver Creek City Schools in 1997, I have dedicated my days to our Republican Party and my family. I will continue to do so. My endorsements in Greene County have been provided to you and include nearly every elected Greene County official and a large cross-section of other present and retired officials. I have also provided you with a list of activities to show my dedication. I thank you for all your support I've received and for giving me the opportunity to represent the 10th District. I humbly ask you for your vote, and God bless you, Greene County, and America.
Thank you, Brenda. Now move on to the man. Bruce Hall is one of the male candidates for state central.
I think so.
On whether you're a candidate or a male. Bad joke. Bad joke. I apologize. I apologize. That was bad. Okay. And make sure you hold it like an ice
It's
cream.
going to be difficult for everybody to read because of the prop. I won't put it here. When you pop up, maybe copy some numbers down.
There's not an easel.
Everybody hear me now? Good evening. My name is Bruce Hall. Let me start out by telling you a little bit about myself. I'm a lifetime Greene County resident, graduated from Xenia High and Urbana University, and also currently own a State Farm insurance agency in Beaver Creek. I'm also a current member of the Greene County Republican Central Committee. The reason I'm running for State Central Committee for District 10 is to firmly establish the Republican Party as the permanent majority party in Ohio, reestablish the GOP as the majority party in America. For the moment, we're not doing too badly in Ohio, although we could lose that lead very easily. Nationally is a different story. We must win back the Senate, hold on to the House, and defeat Hillary Clinton in 2016. How do we do that? Picking up new voters, keeping current voters is really no different than a business picking up new customers and retaining current customers. As a business owner, I have to understand the marketplace and constantly make adjustments to my business plan. Everything I do in my business is about results. State Farm is considered a quality brand of insurance. People choosing insurance or any product or service look to the brand name. A brand name must mean something. It must stand for something. And eventually it must deliver a quality service or product, or otherwise people won't buy what you're selling. Party leaders are fond of saying we have to get our message out. But the message has to sell what we stand for. In short, what is the Republican brand? We all know how important Ohio is in presidential elections. In order to defeat Hillary and achieve the goals I mentioned, we have to reverse the trend of several election cycles. I want you to take a look at these figures. These figures shown below represent the number of Republican votes in presidential elections. The top row is Greene County. The bottom row is 10th District. I want to ask you, if you owned a business and these numbers represented your customer base, would you be happy? No, you wouldn't. If you think you need to change your mind, do you think you would need to change your mindset on how to run your business? You betcha. People aren't buying our brand because we don't believe in our product or think we can stand by what we say. We have to be a party that resonates with voters, that excites voters, that brings out the Republicans to vote. I believe we need to change our approach, think long term, including developing new ways of communication our values through social media, outreach program to young voters, minority groups. We need to hone our message to make sure they understand what conservative means to them. Today we see people aren't buying the current GOP brand. People are voting more against the Democrats than for the GOP. This is not a long-term winning strategy. When I'm passionate about a cause or issue, I work hard to complete the task. I've proven over the last 2 years on a number of issues. I will run a competitive race to be elected. In closing, I want to thank Steve Austria for his service, but I think it's time for new thinking, or I'm afraid the Republican Party may become a permanent minority party. These issues are huge, no doubt, but I'm up for the challenge of working on these important issues. If elected, I promise to serve my 2-year term as your committee member. I'll be honored to share my vision and vote for me tonight. God bless y'all.
Thank you, Bruce. Mr. Anderson?
This isn't deja vu all over again. He is also a candidate for the 10th.
My remarks will be much briefer.
Again, I'm John Anderson, as you know. I'm also running for the same position. I represent a radical departure from the other two candidates. I am from the true conservative wing of the Republican Party. I was a Barry Goldwaterite when I was 13 years old in 1964. I come from the Rand Paul, Senator Cruz wing of the Republican Party that really wants to reform the government, to clean out its career politicians once and for all and set a new direction for the state of Ohio. The Republican Party is no longer cutting the mustard with the voters. No one believes in the credibility of the existing establishment any longer. I represent a radical departure from that. I am dedicated to principles of cutting the government, getting rid of unnecessary taxes, getting rid of regulations, and I will, as part of that committee, I will ensure that the right candidates are screened to meet those qualifications. That are not weak candidates, that are true blue conservatives, and anybody that doesn't pass those standards, I will automatically do everything I can to oppose and reject those candidates out of hand and send them back. That's the bottom line.
Thank you, Mr. Andrews. Congressman Austria.
Promise I'll stay positive. Good evening. It's great to be with you this evening. And I've had the distinct privilege of working with many of you in this room during my years of public service, and more importantly, value the friendship that has grown throughout those years. And Eileen and I, we thank you for that friendship. I told the chairman it was tough for me to be here, to come here tonight, because having a son who graduated from the University of Dayton 2 years ago, having a son currently studying engineering and will graduate in 6 weeks from the UD, and my wife being UD alumni. In our family, tonight is a big game, and it's a big sacrifice to miss that game. But I felt I needed to be here tonight to let you know that I am very committed and very serious about this election for the State Central Committee. You know, I'm excited about being on the ballot again here in Greene County and the opportunity of possibly representing you again here in Greene County in a different role now with the Ohio Republican Party. As you all know, Greene County is my home. Grew up just down the street here in Ledbetter Road, raised my family here in Greene County. And some of you have heard me speak in Washington, D.C., how I got my start in politics right here at the Greene County Republican Central Committee. I was elected to the Greene County Republican Central Committee in the mid-1980s. I took over my father's seat. I know many of you knew my father. And it was about that same, Dr. Austria, and it was about that same time that our family was recognized by the Reagan administration as one of 9 great American families across this nation. You all know what you're going to get with Steve Austria as our State Central Committee person. You're going to get a fiscal conservative who was elected in 2008 with this president. While he was on his pedestal, a freshman congressman, I went to Washington, and I stood up against all this expansion of government, out of control spending, wasteful policies that this president was putting forward. As a social conservative, I believe in the Constitution, and I have a 100% pro-life voting record in my 14 years in public office. I'm a strong supporter and advocate of our Second Amendment. I've been endorsed in my past races by the NRA, by the Ohio Buckeye Firearms Association, and as chairman of the Judiciary Committee in the Ohio Senate, I've worked with some of you here in this room to pass the first concealed carry law in the state of Ohio, and I'm a proud holder of my CCW license. I stood up against this president when he tried to expand government in our health care with Obamacare. I got on the House floor and I fought for our religious and individual freedoms and rights. And now we see what a disaster Obamacare really is. You know, I believe our challenges will begin the day after the primary on May the 7th, bringing our family, the Republican Party, and all its different factions, including in this room, together to defeat the Democrats. And we have to keep our eye on the right target. Many of you may have recently read where I was appointed to the Republican National Committee Advisory Council to help expand the Republican Party's base in bringing minorities and bringing Asian Americans into our party so we can win the White House back in 2016. I believe that same experience and leadership will elevate Greene County, the State Central Committee seat, which is my old State Senate seat that I represented for 8 years, to a new level, where we can help influence policy and change policy if needed in Columbus and Washington. Too often we're circling the wagons and shooting inward at each other rather than shooting outward at the Democrats. And it's going to require experience and strong leadership. And both Brendan Lewis and I have received the Madison County Republican Party endorsement. Clark County did endorse, but most of the elected officials there are supporting Brendan and myself. And today I respectfully ask for your endorsement this evening. And I'm working with Brenda. I think she's done a good job. I hope you endorse her as well tonight. And I ask for your vote on May the 6th. Thank you. May God bless all of you, and go Flyers.
Thank you. We will now open up for both the men and the women questions. I would ask that the questions be directed towards the chair, and that it is a question that pertains to the office sought and not an individual person. Nancy Maxwell.
Yes, I have a question. I mean, we have, I'm specifically speaking about the male member of our State Central Committee.
I'm ordered. It has to be directed to all of them. I apologize. Tony Corvo.
Yeah, I'll just scream out. To all 5 candidates, if you had to pick one item that you feel would improve the Greene County Central Committee's operations to reach out to new voters and reach out to current voters, what would that be?
Was everybody able to hear that?
No.
No? Okay. To all 5 candidates, if you had to pick one item that you would do at the local level, Greene County Central Committee level, what would you do to improve the committee's operations to reach out in the community to get more voters and also retain the voters we have now?
So the question is how to reach out to new voters and retain voters in Greene County.
Improve the operations of them.
Improve the operations of reaching out to current Republican voters and new Republican voters in Greene County.
Have an answer with the mic.
Yeah.
Bruce. don't know how many of you, I'm from Xenia, and it breaks my heart to see that Democratic headquarters right there across from the courthouse. I'm going to be bold. We need a permanent Republican headquarters in Greene County. Every county in Ohio, to improve those numbers, needs to have a permanent location. Barack Obama had 175 offices in that last election cycle. We opened our office up in 60 days. Which model do you think is going to win? So I just want to say I would do anything, capital funds or this and that. We need a permanent Greene County headquarters to develop an outreach program. Thank you.
Thank you, and I apologize since we do have 5 candidates. If we could limit it to 30 seconds so everybody has an opportunity to ask a question. Mr. Anderson?
I'll just say, I think the local party needs to do a couple things to really bring in new voters. It's kind of emphasize a message of economic opportunity, economic expansion for people. A lot of people are hurting for jobs. We have one out of every 4 children that in this state that is living in poverty, and we need to promote economic opportunity and economic freedom, emphasizing again the necessity to cut taxes, cut business regulations. Ohio, I don't think, is a business-friendly state. The only way you're going to lift people out of poverty is by going to a true free market capitalist system, not a crony capitalist system like we have, but a true free market and emphasis on freedom and job creation and opportunity for people to lift themselves up on themselves out of poverty.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Brenda Lewis? That's 30 seconds, please. Please use the microphone so everybody can hear Brenda.
I would really like to see a program somewhere for young people so we can educate our young people to know what the process for voting means and to encourage them to go and vote.
Thank you, Marlene. 30 seconds, please.
Yes, I agree about needing a location. And I also think we've started with our wards in being able to, we need to get people registered to vote. And we need to get these absentee voter request forms out to our people. We need to work all year, not just a few minutes before the general election. We've got a good start. We've got ward leaders, some people working that way. You need to take responsibility for your precinct to be able to develop this.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm smiling, but I'm not going to get the score away right now. So I know a lot of you are recording the game tonight. But I think there's a lot we can do here in Greene County. We've made great strides in my years with the Greene County Republican Party, but we need to be reaching out to expand our base. You know, I see some of there's a young girl that's here to help me out on my campaign that's working with Alan Anderson right now, bringing in more young people into our party. You know, primaries are good. We can get out, we can express ourselves, we can debate. But as I mentioned, when we leave this room, we need to be united as Republicans here in Greene County. We need to be sending a strong message and encouraging people to join the party. Not circle wagons, shooting inside, like I said, shooting out at the Democrats.
Thank you. Anyone else with a question? Nancy?
I'm going to make this general. All the candidates for Central Committee, if you are elected, do you pledge to attend all our Central Committee meetings here as well? Because I just want to ask that of everybody.
Nancy's question is if you're elected, will you come back to our Central Committee members? Mr. Anderson.
I'll be at every meeting. I'll have a huge agenda to go through. There's so many topics you won't be able to count.
Mr. Hall, will you come back?
I come to every meeting now. Why would I change?
Congressman, if you're elected to the State Central Committee, would you attend our regular Central Committee meeting?
I would be glad to attend your regular Central Committee, and I will serve my full term in the State Central Committee as well.
Marlene?
Yes, I come to the meetings, but I will also communicate. And you will have copies of the minutes of the meeting. You'll know when the meetings are if you want to go, because those meetings are open to the public, and they're very educational. And I just would invite everybody to learn, come, know what's going on. Okay.
Brenda?
I pledge that I will be here. I have been here for the last 11 years. I have missed one Central Committee meeting at this county level in the last 11 years. I was out of the country in India, and I have been your state rep, 10th district representative for the last 4 years. I have not missed a meeting during that 4-year span.
Anyone else have a question before we move on to voting? Seeing none, I'll turn the microphone over to the secretary so he can begin the roll call. Chairman?